This is what the Course in Miracles is: simple and it's complicated. The Course in Miracles is so layered. You know, the reason it reached me is because I had gotten myself, twisted in a very complicated knot. So Jesus and the Holy Spirit said, "Fine, we'll meet you in that complication, but you're going to wake up and realize it's not complicated. Happiness is not complicated. It's it's simply saying yes to life, and life's going to throw us all sorts of curveballs, and we want to say, "Oh, this curveball is not spiritual. This curveball, shouldn't be happening." Well, it is happening. So we just got to say yes to life, and we can really simplify this if we have the bravery to understand that everything is in perfect order no matter what. But we're always trying to change the movie screen.
Right. Kenneth, can you go a little deeper with that what you're saying about just accepting the way things are? Because sometimes I started the spiritual path because of a refusal to accept the way things are, only to come, a 180 and realize that the entirety of spirituality is simply accepting the way things are.
Oh, you're really stretching me. That's why I love your questions. That's why I wanted to come on here, because I knew you were going to ask me some, very challenging questions. Okay, let's see if I can help. Let's see if we can flush this one out together. Um, let me just bring it. I can only bring it back to my own path. That's all I know. All right. So I live with pain. I was just out. I'm staying with my godfather. He's 86 years old, and I promised him I would help him hang drywall this afternoon after I got done with my project. Well, I've known him my entire life, and he was, my father's best friend. So we're out there, at 10 a.m. hanging drywall, and I start having flashbacks. True story. I'm 59 years old. And my father was abusive, and I'm out there with my godfather hanging drywall, and all of a sudden I'm a 59-year-old man who's reverted back into a 9-year-old. Now, that's just the way of it. What am I going to do? I'm going to say, all right now I'm not in the present moment. I'm a 9-year-old, and that's just the way of it here on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning. Now let it be, Kenneth. Don't try and do any spiritual aerobics. Don't go run and run in the closet and try and pray it away. Just let it be. And that's been my spiritual practice, for quite some time. It's important to have modalities. It's important to have practices. It's important. And there came a time in my spiritual path where I simply had to say, right now, I'm a 9-year-old, and I'm having a flashback to 1981, and that's just the way of it right now. And guess what? It passed. It was kind of like a cloud cover, but so I can't remember your specific question. Maybe your question is it complicated or is it simple? Well, it's both. It takes a lot of bravery and trust to say to say yes to something as painful as a flashback. And I won't, a lot of Course in Miracles people say, well, flashbacks are of the ego. No, I'm still in my ego, folks. So that's what it looked like for me on a Saturday morning.
If you're here, if you're in your body, you have an ego. And no amount of spiritual posturing is going to make life any easier for you.
That's a spoiler alert.
It is. Spiritual posturing is another thing that's been a lot on my mind, and I've been likening it to you're of the same generation. You and I are upper Gen X. You remember the Saturday morning Kung Fu theater?
What was the name of it?
The Kung Fu theater, the Kung Fu movies that used to come on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and
I remember Saturday morning cartoons, but not Kung Fu theater.
Yeah, it was just like it was old Chinese Kung Fu movies, very badly dubbed in English. But the theme was always, my Kung Fu is greater than your Kung Fu. And the other guy would say, no. my kung fu is the greatest because my master is the greatest. And then they eventually had to fight to see who had the greatest kung fu. And I see that I even see that in, Course in Miracles, that my understanding, my connection, my whatever, takes precedence over your understanding and your connection. And I think it happens. I think all of this happens because of what you said, the inability to just simply be here in this moment, accepting what is, and being able to say, I still have an ego. I still have flashbacks. I still suffer. I've mentioned this in my stream a couple of times. I still have nightmares when I would drink and drive. And I wake up in a cold sweat. I wake up with my hands clenched as if I'm holding a steering wheel and I have to work unlocking my fingers. Doesn't happen as often, but it happens.
And it's important for your audience to hear this. I think sometimes spiritual, voices can do a great disservice by leading others to believe that they're awake, and this doesn't happen to them anymore. Yes, it does, folks. I wrote it in an essay, and we'll get to what you just said earlier because you're always bringing up good points. But I wrote it in an essay. I think it was yesterday, the day before. I'm not awake, but I'm aware that I'm sleeping. Now that's really important. All we have to do is say, "Oh, I'm sleeping. I've fallen asleep." Stop right there. Spirit will take care of the rest. just don't touch. My mother used to say.
There's a author. He's been a great mentor to me as well. Robert Saltzman. He wrote a book called The 10,000 Things and Depending on Nothing. And he would absolutely hate the fact that I mentioned him in a conversation about A Course in Miracles because he is he's the anti-spiritual teacher, but one of the most spiritual people that I know. And he likes to say that he's awakened, but awakening never ends. So it's an ongoing, ever evolving state of being. As he likes to say, that every moment is a once upon, never to happen again. This moment, you and I are as awakened as we're ever going to get. We just don't know it. There's a cloud of ego saying, no, you're not.
You want to title this live stream "Spoiler Alert"?
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, it's a paradox. As soon as I finally surrendered and said, "All right, Spirit, if I never wake up out of the dream, that's fine. I surrender." Bingo! You won the prize. I want to wake up out of the dream. That goes back to sleep again.
Right.
But what is awake? It's like you said earlier. We're here to be kind and loving. Am I awake? I don't know. But am I growing more kind and more loving? Well, if I can say yes to the flashbacks and don't touch, then the miracles start mysteriously. Life begins to align itself. Synchronicities are evident. You see, it's a mystery. And if we can, we can save ourselves a lot of time if we can say yes to this mystery itself. The ego doesn't like mysteries. The ego wants, predictability. And another spoiler alert, if you want, predictability, you're going to go back to sleep again.